Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.
An Air Force retiree says he thought his eyesight would keep him out of officer training.
As Gwen Bevel and photojournalist Nick Kiefer show us, he ended up as a lieutenant colonel watching aircraft missiles and more.
Rich Juarez graduated from KU with an aerospace engineering degree and was close to the end of his ROTC four-year commitment when the Air Force opened up officer training to more people who already had degrees.
This amazing aircraft been around since the 1950s.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Rich Juarez knows a lot about aircraft.
Originally developed for the CIA.
He became familiar with the U-2s as recon planes high above Vietnam.
I was responsible for doing maintenance of the autopilots on the U-2s.
He did the same on DC-130s.
So they would actually fly very low to the ground.
The aircraft were modified to carry these.
This is before we decided to call them drones, but RPVs, remotely piloted vehicles.
Once the drone missions were complete, they would fly into the Gulf of Thailand.
The crewman would actually reel the RPV back up.
Juarez worked with technology of all kinds while watching others.
Everybody was doing things to deny each other access to information.
It was the height of the Cold War.
We were tracking the Soviet Union and their developments of fighter aircraft.
Juarez says he got the opportunity to share all he'd learned along the way while teaching aerospace engineering at the Air Force Academy.
Very rewarding assignment. I really enjoyed that.
He also enjoyed his assignment while this was being negotiated.
I wrote all the operations part of it at the front end.
The treaty ordered both countries to destroy all intermediate missiles or those that could travel about 3,000 miles.
We came up with a concept for the kind of detector to be used.
They also had to determine these benchmarks.
This is actually my writing up there.
So they would know what kind of missile was really inside each canister. He says the Soviets were not always accommodating.
It was very much almost antagonistic.
What this team came up with was used by all follow-up inspectors to keep an eye on what the Soviet Union was up to.
First time, again, Americans routinely went into the Soviet Union.
He says while they were there,
you were being closely watched all the time.
He became close with a Russian interpreter who told him this as they prepared to fly home.
He came up to me and told me, he said, I would give anything if my wife and family could get on that airplane with you to go back to go to the United States.
Juarez has memories he can share very little about, and those that bring big smiles like this captured on the day he retired.
I have all of the enlisted ranks here.
This retired lieutenant colonel served more than 2 decades, and there was always one mission.
Make sure that the United States isn't surprised by technology developments taking place.
Juarez says at one time a Soviet pilot wanted to defect to the U.S. He says that gave the U.S. a great opportunity to get a real good look at the Soviets' most advanced aircraft. He says when they were done, they mailed that plane back to the Soviet Union in pieces. Here for you, Gwen Bevel, KSN News 3.
On behalf of Devon James Injury Lawyers, we're honored to recognize this week's veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Rich Juarez. Mr. Juarez, thank you for your service to the United States Air Force.
Thank you. I'd just like to extend my thanks and appreciation for your recognition, recognizing mine and my family's commitment and service to our country. Thank you.
Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.